Hey, Scott from Aristocob.com here.
And Seth from MyGrowthRings.com. Wings.
Together along with you, the three of us, we are Mark of Men's Breakfast Club. Welcome once again, and good morning, boy.
Good morning, Homer. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Yeah?
How about yourself?
I'm also doing great.
Well, good. So when we last left off, I started to tell a story, and you said we had something special to watch from your son.
Oh, we're doing that first? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I said we are going to talk about which do you want to be first?
Let's do your story first. Let's hear what you have going on.
Okay, so
Because I rudely interrupted.
I have friends that are auctioneers, and they turned me on to a website that items that they are selling in a virtual auction are available. So it's
eBay.com.
Similar to eBay, only I didn't realize that there are multiple auctions and auctioneers that are participating. Very similar to eBay in that you can place your high bid, and as long as no one outbids you, it doesn't automatically go to your high bid. It's just it's there as a reserve, takes it up to that point. The big difference, and I've seen other websites and auctions do this, where if someone places a bid within the last minute, it adds a minute. So it gives people, it prevents sniping if you've got multiple people that are there willing to spend more and who don't want to put a reserve in place. I don't like that for myself because I figure I should know what my top bid is and I should just let it go. And there's that temptation, okay, it's only $1 more than what my top bid was. I mean, I hate to lose this for $1. Oh, and now it's $2 more. I could be willing to go. Look, if you're willing to go $5 more, you should put that in your high bid and be willing to walk away. So I was given a heads up that they had some tools, and lo and behold, they had some Shopsmith tools. And what was interesting to me was they had the items ending at different times. And so I put in some very low bids early on because I knew that would send me reminders.
Right.
And also because they had like 200 items at auction and not all of them were listed as Shopsmith. I put bids on some items that, hey, if I win this for $5, great. If not, I'm not worried about it. And so the day of the auction, I started getting messages saying I was outbid. So I went and took a look to see which items would I truly want to stay in the bidding on. One of them was a Shopsmith Mark V Model 500 that had a jigsaw. Now, it's an old model. I really didn't care for it. It's the one Isaac has. The jigsaw was...
It's terrible. It's garbage. It's the one that your brother-in-law has, that piece of crap.
The jigsaw was something that was made from the 50s to, let's say, late 80s, early 90s, and then it was replaced by a scroll saw. And scroll saws are much more intricate, or allow much more intricate sawing. And so I really wasn't interested in that machine, and I just thought I'd just let that auction run. What I was interested in is they had some great, Shopsmith made some great clamps that are called double bar clamps. And they are wood and metal clamps that are designed for gluing up panels, like a tabletop or a cutting board. And the way they work is they apply pressure from the edges of the boards and then down on the faces of the boards with these two wooden bars. And what made the Shopsmith double bar clamp so unique is long before anybody I knew of was using CNC equipment, they were having those wooden bars made on a CNC machine. So the faces that actually clamp down on your panels are bowed. Right? So when you start to clamp on the ends, it immediately begins to put pressure in the middle and then pulls down as it goes to the ends. There are other companies that make double bar clamps where the bars are just there. You clamp down from the ends that applies pressure this direction, but there's really no pressure top and bottom. So these are really interesting, and they're expensive new. They were expensive new. The versions that were for sale were originally sold at $70 a piece. And so My rule of thumb on used Shopsmith equipment, they typically sell for about half of the retail price. I'm in a quarter of the retail price because at that price, if I choose to resell it on eBay or somewhere, I know I can double my money, or I'm getting a great deal.
Yeah.
So I went in specifically and placed legit what would be my high bid on these clamps and on a device called a power station. The power station is a variable speed stand that you can run your Shopsmith accessories on. So the Shopsmith is a multi-purpose tool that you can, in addition to the basic functions of the machine, you can power these accessories. So it's kind of like how if you have a Mixmaster mixer, you could buy a pasta roller, you could buy a citrus juicer, a sausage maker, a spiralizer for your vegetables. Well, they have a bandsaw, the old jigsaw, a scroll saw, a belt sander, a planer, and a strip sander, which is a 1 inch or a ½ inch wide strip of abrasives. They've become very popular here lately by guys that are grinding knives. So working with a narrow strip. And so this power station had mounted on it, and this is all being sold together as is, a strip sander. So the strip sander sells for $370 new. The power station, when it was last produced, was $580 and is no longer being produced. Not currently. Shopsmith, they own patents. They're just, they've kind of fallen on hard times and they've kind of tooled down and they're making just their fundamental, basic, everyday tools now. So I put in my bid, as I typically do, at a number that I was comfortable with, and I won. So I won the strip sander, the power station, and the double bar clamps. The Mark V and jigsaw sold for $41. That that should have sold for several $100s. The jigsaw alone, even though it's old technology, if properly presented and people understood what it could do,
Right.
because that scroll saw was not only a scroll saw, you could take basically what you have is an oscillating spindle that's moving up and down, and above that there's an arm with a return spring that is pulling on the top of the blade. Okay, and so you've got a pulling action down by the motor, and then the spring lifts it back up for the return stroke. The advantage of a scroll saw is you are getting power both down and up. So you have a powerful arm that is pulling up and pulling down. On the jigsaw, you did not have that. So you couldn't make nearly as tight of a turn. If you made a turn so tight that it would bind the blade, the spring on top couldn't pull, while at the same time the cam at the bottom is shoving the blade,
Right.
and it would buckle and
break.
break. Well, the Shopsmith scroll saw or jigsaw, you can take the arm completely off and you can mount files. And if you've seen any machinist YouTube channels, they use these stationary filing machines to file all kinds of metal components. And that if I use that machine for nothing else, I would use that as a stationary file. So the fact that $41 just blew my mind.
Did you win that one?
No, I did not, because I didn't jump back because I didn't need an old Shopsmith or an old jigsaw. I actually own a couple of those jigsaws, so I'm not out anything. It seemed promising though that the device I was buying was going to go for a very good price. I'm not disappointed at all at the price I paid, but I paid a couple $100s for that power station and strip sander. So anyway, got the news. I was in the middle of a Zoom call with my family, and the word came down that hey, I won, and didn't even pay what my high bid was. So I was happy with that. And that's what I looked down to see when I had to pick it up and where I had to pick it up. Again, I was introduced to this website by these local auctioneers. I assumed it was a local auction. Why, no, it wasn't a local auction. It was in Clayton, North Carolina, which is about 90 miles from our home. Maybe more than that, maybe 100 miles from our home. and had to pick it up today before 7 p.m. And I had a busy day at work today, and I knew there was going to be no way I was going to get out very early.
Yeah.
And so,
And today, for a frame of reference, also happened to be 2 weeks ago when we did our last live stream. So we had a 8:30 deadline to be live.
So I didn't just have to get all the way over there, I had to get all the way back. This is why 2 weeks ago I come running in and said, wow, that's the closest I've cut one of these. It was because I had to go there. Part of the deal was you also have to remove it yourself from their basement.
Wow. How'd that go?
Luckily, there was a young man there that was willing to give me a hand. A young man who said, "Oh, by the way, I've got knee issues. I actually have a cadaver bone in my knee. So is this going to be very heavy?" No, it's not. Thankfully, it's not heavy. It's just awkward.
Yeah.
I've carried them alone. I was prepared to carry it alone. I was really happy to have a helper get it out of there. But yeah, I'm super stoked that I got those clamps. Not only because I think they're great clamps and I have an immediate need for them with the thing that Smuckers and I are building, but they're so unique, and I don't believe anybody has ever taken the time on YouTube to talk about them and to show how unique they are. Now, the downside is if I do a video on them, I will have that many more competitors on eBay auctions. So maybe I should wait for a while.
There you go. Snag up a few more.
Like
the Z knives.
Like the Z knives and like Aristocob pipes, the original Art Deco pipes. I waited until I was relatively comfortable with my inventory before I did my first video talking about this.
Yep, I remember we bought a lot of those Z knives, $10 a piece. I would not be shocked if I had $250 of those.
Those are now $25 or so if you find them. So yeah, we got some great deals.
Yeah,
that really is the downside. It's the whole supply and demand thing. Is as you share a neat product that people missed out on, you suddenly create that demand, and now you've got competition. So
that's right. Yep.
But really excited about that. You know, the power station is convenient for Shopsmith owners. When they introduced that machine, what they thought was going to happen was it would open the door to people who don't own the Shopsmith Mark V, who maybe already have Craftsman table saw, Delta tools, and so on, but maybe have heard great things about the Shopsmith bandsaw, the Shopsmith belt sander. Well, they're not going to dedicate all that space to a Mark V. A Mark V takes up the same space as a 10-speed bicycle, which is about 2 feet in depth and about 6 feet in length, which doesn't sound like much until you're trying to cram it into a full shop. And so their idea was, hey, this will give those people the opportunity to buy a motorized stand that's variable speed, that you can set it for whatever tool function you're performing. It'll get people into the Shopsmith ecosystem, and they'll start to see how great these tools are. That didn't happen. What happened was owners of Shopsmith equipment saw that, you know what, that'll allow me to have my bandsaw set up, and I can leave my jointer over here on my Shopsmith, and now I've got, still a compact shop, but I've added some versatility.
Yeah.
And so that really truly was the success of that tool. Now, the other thing that was fascinating, when they first launched that tool, they weren't sure how to price it. So they launched it at at the time they had 50 retail stores. They launched it at $199 at one store, at $299 at another store, and at $399 at a different store. And this is back in the early 90s, so kind of pre-internet.
Right.
There were chat groups and things like that, but it wasn't likely that folks from Salt Lake City were communicating with people from Boston, for example. And so what they found was they sold more of them at $400 than they sold at $300 or $200.
Mm-hmm.
But they sold them with more accessories at $300. So when they finally went to market with it, they went to market at $350, and they would give you $50 towards your choice of accessory.
Smart.
So yeah, it was really smart. But they knew that they had the margins in it that they could comfortably sell it at 200 if that was going to benefit them. What happened was the people who bought it at $200 bought it because it was all they could afford, and that allowed them to do what I mentioned already. They sold them to Shopsmith owners.
Right.
At $400, people were again less likely to buy additional accessories
Right.
with them. And $399, like I said, that was a sweet spot. And well, I'm sorry, $299, $250 with a $50 gift purchase, whatever.
What you use on $100
Yep.
accessory.
So it's a great little tool.
Right.
Shopsmith Power Station. I'll put a link in the doobly-doo to auctions out on eBay. You can check them out and see what they sell for now, because they are currently out of production. And people now have figured out, man, that was a handy little thing.
Yeah.
They're in high demand. So they sell now oftentimes as much as they sold for new, and they're pushing 20 years old, some of them.
Wow.
Yep. Anyway, so that's it. You can learn
So
more.
where do you have to go to pick up your clamps? And
I picked them up.
all of
All
those
of them
things
were at
together.
one auction. All
Oh,
together.
they were at the auction house or wherever
They
it
were
was.
they were at the home this auction was for.
Okay.
So
I see.
all couple hundred items
see.
were one guy liquidating a shop.
Right. Okay.
And but what I didn't know, as I said, was I didn't realize that there were
time
multiple
frame.
auctioneers from all over the area that used this particular portal for auctions. I'll pay more attention next time.
So they can. Is it like private labeling almost, where they can offer it up as part of their like?
So.
We could have Markwood's auction service and be offering the same products and bidding against the same people.
I think maybe they have their own portal.
Yeah.
I'm fully confident that because I clicked on the initial link in the email that I received because I signed up with my friend the auctioneer, that he probably got some kind of referral.
Sure.
And that there actually was not only sales tax, but there was a bidder fee, which probably was the commission to my friend,
Yeah.
which I'm perfectly fine with that too.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was. I mean, auctions can be fun.
Yeah.
But boy, can you get sucked into the excitement of it. And like I said, it's human
gambling,
nature.
right?
You start justifying. Just a little bit more. If it's worth that much to me, it's worth a few dollars more.
I remember in school at one point we did a thought experiment where somebody asked, what's the most that you would be willing to pay for whatever the example was, and then would you be willing to pay one more penny? Well, yeah. Well, then that's the most you would pay. What about one more penny above that? Well,
yeah, you move the line, don't you?
Yeah, $100. Yeah, that's wouldn't pay a cent more. What if you found it for $101? Well, maybe.
Yeah. What if you had to outbid somebody else? And it does sting to look at an auction and see that it went to the guy that bid $1 more. But for all you know, they had a reserve that would have taken it up another $50.
Right.
There's also people at real live auctions that they'll stick you with something. They'll see that you're getting auction crazy. They'll stick you with something, blow your budget, because what they really want is the next couple items, and get you to use up all of your budget.
That's right.
Auctions are amazing. I mean, selling in an auction, selling on eBay, where else in the world is the person who is willing to pay the most considered the winner? That the auction ended, hey, you've won. No, you owe us money now.
Yeah. There's an interesting video of, it's one of those list videos of 10 times players broke Survivor, and a number of things that players did that completely changed the future of the game. And one of them was where they figured out the auction, because the auction was very formulaic, and they always had one thing where people with they would receive a letter from home or something, and the person that bought the letter from home would win it, but then everybody got letters from home, and so they all colluded and said, "Hey, let's
No
just
one bid on
spend,
the
no one bid a dollar. We'll all get ours because then like the big ticket item is immediately after that." After someone has spent all
the
their
jar
money,
of peanut butter.
and so they don't do the auctions anymore.
Yeah, because I remember
of that.
seeing it where it got to the point where Jeff Probst would say, "Okay, let's
So
go
you're not gonna
ahead
play?
and
Fine.
let's add to this jar of peanut butter all of this
That's right.
chocolate, these cookies." Yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting list because there have been one or two times where Jeff has just been like, what are we even doing here? It's just over. We're done." And
Yeah.
they just don't do it again. There was one where it was a visit from a family member, and they were basically throwing a competition because they wanted to give it to one of their teammates. And he said, "What are we even doing here, guys? If you're going to choose her, that's fine. It's done. She wins. Well, go back to camp."
Wow.
Which, that frustration still makes really interesting television.
Yeah. Once.
So that's right. That's right. And then so they don't do that again. They don't do the auction anymore. At least not the same way. So,
But that also explains why they change that show
right.
all the time.
Yeah, they have to.
I remember watching the first season of that and was down at IWF in Atlanta. It was my first IWF with the company, so it would have been in, I think, the year 2000, or was it 99? One of those.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember sitting in a bar with a couple of my coworkers who had never seen the show because I wanted to watch the finale live. And by the end of the finale, they were totally into it.
Yeah.
And when the competition's down between 3 or 4 people, it's less interesting than it was before. But this is Richard Hatch winning that one. And that's the one with the famous, if you were lying dead by the side of the road speech by one of the one of the people, one of the contestants who gave this speech and then cast a vote for him. Because in the end she's like, but he won. He played it so well. He's the one, again, first episode, that hit upon the idea of getting a
naked, just getting naked,
getting naked, but putting together an alliance. And on the boat on the way to the beach, he created his group that stayed together. The last, I think, 4 stayed all the way to the end, and voted as a block. So your son wanted to be in Mark with Ben's Breakfast Club. Tell me more about that.
He did. So my oldest son, Ender, asked, Can I come be part of your video? And I said, well, it's going to be late, and we were filming a live video tonight, and so talking about, I said, well, why do you want to be part of your video? Be part of the video? Because he wants to be famous. He wants to be famous like us.
Just like us,
and be part of our video. And I said, well, do you know what we do in our videos? He said, no. I said, well, we just talk about things. And so what would you talk about? And he sat for a second. He said, we talk about Ender's fun facts. Okay. So I pulled out my phone and I said, well, let's talk about those. And so I don't know that we'll watch the whole thing, but I will share with you, and we will react to. He's not seen this.
Will we pause and talk about his facts?
We can, sure.
Okay.
About Ender's fun facts. So get just a little bit of setup here, so we can hear, while you guys can still hear us. We should be good to go, but we'll try this out. Ender wants to tell some fun facts. Go ahead.
So, number 1, did you know spiders don't hatch from their eggs?
What?
Their eggs, their hands, their head, their pincers, and their legs grow out of the egg. The egg is their exoskeleton. So, that's number 1.
That is an Ender fun fact. I didn't know that.
Well, I didn't know
Is that really true?
Yes.
I didn't know that. So we'll leave it to you guys to fact check that because I've never heard that.
Snopes will be fact checking the video.
That's right. Here, let's zoom in a little bit.
Oh, fun fact number 2.
Jumps right into it.
Tarantulas eat their formal cousin.
What?
Tarantulas eat spiders to live, even though they are a relative to their family.
Do tarantulas eat other things?
Sometimes they can.
Like raccoons?
Actually, there's a tarantula so big, it can eat a bird.
Whoa.
It's called the bird-eating spider.
And
The bird-eating spider.
that was another fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
So are all of Ender's fun facts going to be spider facts?
Well, maybe. I don't know.
All right. Do you have a third one?
So he was so excited after we filmed this. He said, "Are you going to put that in your video?" I said, "Maybe. Maybe we will."
Let me think. Oh, fun fact.
Third fact.
Mushrooms only grow on dead trees.
Yeah.
Yes, like chopped down trees, like mushy old trees. So that's fun fact number 3.
Why don't they grow on living trees?
Well, because they have too much, like, they don't have enough moisture or dirt.
Do you remember when we were in Kentucky and we went to the mushroom farm?
That's where I learned.
How did they grow the mushrooms?
On dead trees.
And what did they do?
They
Remember?
put them on, like, wheels that turned around, like, sort of a water wheel.
Pause that.
And they
We went to this place that is starting a mushroom farm. Is part of a building that was part of a coal mine.
He's going to get to it. Actually,
Okay.
he's going to
Okay.
get to the room.
But
he's
to
going to
this-
describe the room where it is.
Okay, but the device that they've created reminds me very much of if you go to your Home Depot and you look at where they sell carpeting, and they have the rolls of carpeting on those big conveyors that go up and down. They had logs set up on these, and they populated them with spores, and that way they could cycle them around, and the pickers could pick them off really conveniently.
It was neat because it's a single story building, but they're treating it as a proof of concept. And what they figure is that with this system, they could gut out some of the old factories that are multi-floored factories in this part of Kentucky that have just been standing empty,
Or
and
even
have
the coal mines, they said. Yeah.
right, and have this setup go multiple stories up and down, so that when you're doing the picking and when you're adding the spores to the logs, you're doing that at ground level, and it's very clever. They're selling those for medicinal purposes to research facilities,
dry them.
hospitals.
Yeah. They were saying that they even use them in makeup. It's they dry them
Like a
and grind
base.
them up.
Mm-hmm.
They grew mushrooms.
The water wheel was a
Oh.
pretty good
Fun
example.
fact number 4. People actually in Kentucky, people actually washed mushrooms in showers.
That is true. The farm where they were growing the mushrooms was in an old gym, in an old bathhouse. Remember, they drilled holes in the logs
Yeah.
and they grew the mushrooms. They put spores in the
And there
holes.
were even some on the floor. On the floor. That's weird.
Do you have a fun fact number 5?
Fun fact number 5. Parrots eat rocks.
What?
Yes, to help them digest their food better.
I had gizzards
Wow.
for lunch.
Did you? I like
There's a lot of
gizzards.
animal facts. Is there any more fun facts you want to share?
Did you know there's a very rare species? It's called Dives insipidus. I even have it right now.
Wait, species? Condition.
Condition. Yeah.
Yeah, and what is it?
It's where you have too much
And Augie
salt
joins.
in your.
Hang on. Well, I'm going to hop over here.
Oh, here's my brother Augie. Hello.
So you have too much salt in your body, and then what?
And then we have to drink so much water to get it all out. Mm-hmm. Good job, Doug.
And how long have you had that?
Our whole life.
And when will you get rid of it?
Never. My grandma even has it, and my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. Won't play the whole thing, but it's Ender's Fun Facts. So at some point in time, we'll definitely have him join us for a show that would make his day.
That'd be a lot of fun.
The fact that we included part of that video here will make his day.
W.C. Fields is correct, though, about you don't want to work with dogs or children. Man, you get a kid in front of a camera, and they just, especially if there's a monitor, and they like staring at themselves and making faces. So maybe we need to get them in front of the monitor without the camera running for a while.
Yeah, well,
Get that out of their system.
he wasn't looking at himself.
No, I'm saying that's something. I'm looking at myself.
Yeah. Let's cut that out, shall we? So yeah, Ender's Fun Facts. There you go. I would not. I would treat that like Wikipedia. Maybe not a source to be cited on any research, but fun facts.
I want to go. Speaking of Wikipedia, I want to go check out that ectoskeleton thing.
I know. Me too. I never heard that before, but I wouldn't put it past him to be totally right on that. So he has a good memory about things that he hears and learns.
Wow. Very cool. All right, I enjoyed that. Glad to have Ender join us, and Augie. Truly a Markwood Men's Breakfast Club.
That's right.
So, well, thanks for joining us again this week. We've enjoyed it. Next week we're going to eat grilled cheese 4 months ago, right?
I think so. Yeah,
That'd be
I think
good.
we'll do that. And I'm sure we talked about something else too. Don't really know. I think we probably talked about this whole pandemic thing that's getting blown way out of proportion. So that'll be interesting.
So.
That'll be interesting to see. A little jump back in time. So next week, I have not shaved probably, but it will appear that way.
That's funny. All right. Hey, thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us. Make it a great week. We'll see you next week.
See ya.